Well, hello there, and welcome to this playthrough of Golden Axe Warrior for the Sega Master System. Let's take a look at the game's story. In ancient times, a race of ruthless giants rebelled against the power of the Elders. Usurped, they were forced to fight a brutal war, and many of them fell on the field of battle. Their followers began to think that the age of the Elders had ended. Amid this turmoil, a brave warrior swore to put an end to the rebellion. He fought heroically, ultimately succeeding only because he possessed the Golden Axe, a gift from Thor's Spirit of Thunder. Many years passed, and the bitter incident was nearly forgotten. Forgotten, that is, by all but the evil giant, Death Adder. Everyone lived in peace and happiness in the country of Firewood, a land ruled by a family that had mastered the magic of the 9 crystals, relics that warded off evil and preserved peace, and had also mastered the spells of thunder, earth, and fire. Unable to attack Firewood, Death Adder conquered Nendoria and Altarulia, but longed for the day when he would finally defeat Firewood. Finally, a greedy, high-ranking minister of Firewood betrayed the king, selling the gems to the evil Death Adder. Firewood quickly fell and was burned. Heroes of Firewood sought to kill Death Adder, but his gruesome monsters seemed to be everywhere. Left to his own devices, the entire world might fall under his evil reign, unless, of course, a hero emerges brave enough to end Death Adder's rule. And that appears to be us, flashing in the darkness. Alright, so a very nice little story, a nice little introduction here for Golden Axe Warrior. Let's start us a new game here, shall we? And there we go. Hun. Firewood's facing a crisis. Death Adder attacked and stole the 9 crystals which protected us. Death Adder killed your parents. Destroy Death Adder and get those 9 crystals. And with that, here we are. So this is where we start off the game. You can see that we are a little man in blue armor with a sword. And if you have a look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that we have a life meter consisting of 3 hearts. We have a magic meter that we can't use yet because we know at this point do not have any spells. And we also have a sword equipped. We have no horns. Horns are the currency in this game. And there's also a little candelabra there off to the left where, well, I won't explain that just yet, but we'll see what happens later. So yeah, let's take a look around. Now, the game has a little bit of a map included in the manual, but nothing too major. So you pretty much have to make your own or look one up online if you want to play. Now, this game does have a lot of little towns and villages around, so we just went to one. Let's talk with some people in this little house here. I'm from a southeastern town called Salem. When the monsters attacked, I escaped. Okay. If you head north, you'll encounter stronger beasts. Okay, so we won't be going north. Death Adder hid the 9 crystals in 9 different labyrinths. Those labyrinths are supposed to be around here. Good to know. Alright, what do you have to say? Hi, can I help you? Alright, so this guy has a store that sells keys, magic feathers, and magic oil. Now, like in Zelda, there are lots of different stores around that have the same items for different prices. So we're going to try to keep track of which prices are at which stores so that we don't end up spending too much money. We all know how much of a miser I am when I play games, of course. And this lady says that we can stay at the inn for free, which is great, but we haven't taken any damage yet, so we'll say no for now. Well, that's so nice. She's looking forward to seeing us again. And this fellow will allow us to save our game. So we will save over there we go. Our game is saved. Alright, so let's head out and see what becomes of us, because there's a lot of fighting to do after we visit this house. Oh, a little kid and some people. Hello. Some have seen Death Adder's monsters near Miliver too. Where is Miliver? Good luck. Thank you. Thank you, small baby. Death Adder killed the King of Firewood and Princess Tyrus. Firewood's finished. Well, not if I have anything to say about it. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of that little village. So if we go into our menu here, you can see we do have kind of a map, at least, that'll give us a feeling for where we are in the world that we're in. And there's also some other information there, like what armor we're wearing, what shield we have, and also too up top on the left you can see a box where I'm sure other items that we pick up are going to fill in over time. But for now, we can go on and start murdering things and trying to head off to, I guess, the first labyrinth. Now, when we kill things, we'll either get food, so you can get bread, or as you just saw there, a big meat stick can also appear. And both of those fill up your health. And if you're like me here, you'll see we take tons of damage because we're not very good at this game. At least not at first. And thankfully this inn is here so that we can replenish our health for free. And there it is. Hope you enjoyed your stay. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again. Alright. Now let's get out of here, shall we? Now the first labyrinth is close by. What else is nice about this game is that enemies don't respawn on you right away, which is nice, because sometimes you just don't want to have to fight them again if you just fought them. So kind of, again, like Zelda, where if you kill enemies, you have to go a certain distance away or go into and exit another area to come back, to have those enemies come back again. Now I'm avoiding, I think they're called snout men in the manual for now because we're not particularly strong yet. And we're just kind of looking for that first labyrinth just to get going. We can't really afford very much just yet, so we might as well not fret too much about trying to buy things at stores. There are a couple of really crucial items though that we should try our best to get a hand on as soon as possible, and those we'll talk about as we go through. And there's a nice hourglass for us which just freezes enemies. So some screens will have secrets in them, so if you kill all the enemies, a set of stairs will appear, and this one's nice because it's going to allow us to save our game, so we can save in slot 1 before we head on. The other thing I've noticed is that normally saves appear near places where you're going to need them, like right before a labyrinth, for example. And these are some autumn-like trees, which is very fitting, because this is a place of doom and darkness, of course. Labyrinth number 1. What I love about this game is that they've put it here in Roman numerals to spell it out for us. Dark as day. Alright, so I have made a little bit of a map of this place when I played through in my stream, which will make traversing it now a little bit easier. But essentially, we just kind of have to go through and kill everything, collect horns, and also food and keys, etc., etc. So we picked up a key. You can see it's now there in the menu. And the other thing, which is really nice, is that as you go from room to room in this place, it'll appear on the map for you, showing that you've been there before, and also giving you an overall idea about what the map looks like. So you really don't have to draw your own, but if you want to write down where items are, it's probably a good plan as well. And what's great too about this game is that as you go, you also gain heart containers. I'm just going to pretty much use Zelda terminology, but you gain another spot on your heart meter. So you get more life, and usually you find an item in each spot as well. And sometimes too, like, you don't push blocks in this game, but sometimes the lanterns on the wall will allow for a secret passageway to open or something. So lots of Stalfos in here so far. And then these special little balls of whatever they are. Okay, so let's go left first. And I don't think there's anything in here. Now, people call this game a pretty blatant Zelda ripoff. And there's aspects of it that I agree with, like you go in a room, a door slams behind you, and you have to fight a bunch of bats to escape. That's the case. But there's a lot of things in this game that are also different from the original Zelda. Like, having magic ability, for example, and other things too, like towns. A lot of the enemy types are the same that I've seen so far, but yeah, there's some pretty key elements of this game that are different, which is an important thing. Okay, so let's go down first. What's over here? More enemies. Nothing exciting. There's a nice meat stick. We definitely needed that. Make quick work of those guys, and I think we picked up another key there, so that's good news. Because we do have 2 locked doors to face. So we'll go right first. And look at that, a nice chest. I like how they put enemies around you that pop up. Now we just picked up a blue horn, and that's 5 horns essentially, so that's good. And we now have the battle axe, which is another weapon. So if we go into our menu, we can switch to the axe, and thankfully for us, the axe is a little bit stronger, and it has a swooping motion, so we can sweep enemies a little bit better than we could with just the sword. Okay, so let's go up here. And again, some more stall foes to fight. At least they move nice and slow. There's one thing I'll give this game, it's beautiful. You know, if we're comparing this game and Zelda, let's just be honest, this game looks a lot nicer. With the detail and the graphics and the colors and things like that, I like the look of this one quite a bit. There we go. We've already got 21 horns, which is awesome, because one of the items that we need requires a lot of horns, to say the least. Now we're gonna keep heading up here, and you can see here we've got more bats, yikes, and 2 doors that we're not able to get through, right? So we can't get through them, and we'll talk about that in just a second. We're also picking up lots of magic pots, but that's kind of meaningless to us for the moment. But yeah, those lanterns, you can use them to open up doors. Act like a switch, I suppose. These guys are no fun either. These guys also don't drop health replenishers very often. They typically drop horns more often. And this room has a key, so that's great. Hope I can make it through this without dying. That would be super. Oh, might have spoken too soon. Does any of you guys have a bread for me? I don't need a magic pot. I need a bread. Of course not. No bread for me. Yeah, and my temptation is to always try to push on blocks, but I don't think that that actually ever does what I expect it to. So hopefully one of these guys is going to give us something to eat. Oh. And we got blown up. So let's continue. So the price that you pay for dying in this game is losing some of your horns, which isn't too bad at this point because we haven't gained very many to begin with. I think we go this way. Yes. Yeah, and then also too, at a certain point, the enemies are gonna come back again. Maybe not, actually. Maybe this place is small enough that we don't have to worry about it. Well, hello, you jerks that murdered me last time. What's interesting about the hourglass in this game is that it's not permanent. I definitely thought that it was permanent before, and it wasn't. Okay. And we're off to the first boss. We're going to try not to get smoked. But yeah, not too bad at all. There we go. One boss down, and then we get our little disco mirror out and our crystal. And there we go. We have the crystal. Now, if you take a look in the bottom left, you'll see that a crystal has now appeared on our candelabra. So it's not really a candelabra at all. Rather, it's a crystal holder. And what's also kind of mean about this game is that they make you walk out of the labyrinth after you've finished it. So you better hope that you had enough energy left over